A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I took off for a 10-day road trip. We really never made a lot of plans. We did know where we was going to go, and we kind of set out a mission for ourselves, what we was going to do. Our mission was to primarily revisit the upper New England states, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and then over into New York. That was one of the missions. Another one was, since we had been up there many times previously and along the whole coast, the East Coast, that we would look for a new adventure, a new experience, a new place that we have never been. And the third mission, or the third leg of it, was to enjoy God's creation. So we set off. And as we set off, we drove about 2 or 3 miles. We pulled off to the side, got the road map out, the atlas out, and began planning our first leg of the journey as we was heading up towards New England. We got up to Acadia National Park eventually, as we did other travels. And when we was at Acadia, there before, we learned of Scotic Point, which is a peninsula just north of the island that Acadia is found on. So we went up to the peninsula, the Scotic Peninsula. And in the Scotic Peninsula, we had heard that there was the Acadia National Park had just opened September the 1st, a new campground and a new area that it had made accessible to the public. So we went up there, checked the campground out, and also we took a very large hike into the pristine forest that had just very recently been blazed and only walked on by a few feet by anyone. A new area opened up, and it was definitely beautiful. We walked in about 40 or 50 feet, maybe to the back corner at the most, and something was really different as we did this. It was totally quiet. You couldn't even hear your footsteps as you entered in. We sat there for a long time. We heard some birds and squirrels chattering, but mostly it was just total silence. You see, the forest floor up there, I think that the cold weather and the lush growth doesn't have enough time to rot, and it piles up deeper and deeper and deeper. When you walk on a forest floor up there, you sink in about this far every step. It's just a lush carpet of pine needles, little branches, some logs that you kind of step into in between or whatever. And I'm saying this deep, but it could be 30 or 40 feet deep even, with this lush growth eventually rotting down near the bottom, if it even rots. What a beautiful experience to have that silence. And we spent some time just in quiet, in the wonder and awe of it all. From there, we went down to the bay. And then after the bay, we got back into our car and drove down to Scotic Point. Scotic Point is a point on this peninsula that extends out a little bit into the ocean, into the Atlantic Ocean there. And so all the waves are coming in. And the seacoast there is solid rock. It's granite. Big boulders, small boulders, and most of it is still intact with the earth. Hewed out by water, hewed out through previous energies of the earth. And in some places there would even be trenches where cracks had been made, volcanic material filled part of it in, and they might be this deep, and the water might be, the ocean might be at the end, on the other side of the road, going out the door, and the waves come in, and in some of those places, it just follows that trench on up, and you can look down into it as it comes in, and then crashes. Just as it crashes into the seashore, and the waves just splash. It's bombarding. It's noisy. It's much different than what it was in the forest. So we're going from explosions of this water hitting the earth, hitting the shore, versus the quiet in the forest. And then that evening, with no one or very few around, no cities at all around, the stars in the sky is totally numbered. I mean, there is so many. And the galaxies, and there's so many things that you cannot see here because of all the lights. What beauty there is. And as we was gazing at the stars, I thought, gosh, all of this, the quiet forest, the earth and the water meeting with explosive force, and then the magnitude of the universe as you look out beyond and beyond. And here we are, the two of us, two little specks. And then I think it's the same for each of us. Each one of us is a speck in this universe. And each one of us is a child of God. And each one of us is a very special child of God. And God gives each one of us a mission. The readings today kind of lets us know what this mission might be. Or at least lets us know that we have a mission. A mission like those 70 elders who the Spirit came down upon, and they were to prophesy. 2 of them weren't there, but the Spirit came down upon them also. 2 of them were prophesying in the camp rather than in the tent. They didn't follow their protocol. It brought question, but Moses or the Lord took care of that because they were speaking for the Lord. Another example of someone sometimes that doesn't follow protocol that speaks for the Lord is our Pope, Pope Francis. He does things just a little bit different. He hears from his God what he is to do, and following him, he gives a message, and he has given a tremendous message for us in the United States, that we have much, and we should use it wisely, we should conserve it, and we should share it also. And we should unify together. We should work together to solve the problems so that we can help take care of the world's problems. In Psalms, we hear the word cleanse, to cleanse ourselves, as we hear the precepts of the Lord. That brings joy to our heart. These precepts, that brings us joy, we'll want to share them. We will want to share them. And James, he gives us a mission that we should share our wealth, share our monies, share rather than just stack them up and let them corrode and rust and the moths eat the clothes and that, to share some of what we have rather than to exploit. Employers exploit their employees today. And today, employees exploit their employers. They don't give them that good day's work because maybe they feel like they're not getting paid enough. Maybe because they're late. There's all kinds of things that intermingle there. We should not be exploiting, but we should be sharing with each other. And then I think of the exploitation of our land sometimes. We do some good things. We replant trees. We make it so that wildlife and other things, when coal is dug, there's some things that's done to help our environment, but yet there's still times when we just totally exploit the land. And then we think places like that Scotty Point or that pristine forest that's been preserved through all time. We don't want to lose some of those national treasures that we have found in our national park systems. And people would exploit them. They would cut down the giant redwood trees if all they would need is the given yes, and they would take that. So we must always work together and share our lives. And then in Mark, Christ the teacher, he has a saving mission for each one of us. A saving mission, a sharing mission, a mission to carry out his word. And to do this, our mission, basic mission, is to learn it, live it, and share it. To learn his word. What is he speaking to us? To share his word with each other and to live his word in all that we do. We have the commands. We have the great command. We have the precepts of the church. We hear of the temporal and the spiritual works of mercy, to feed, to give drink, to clothe, to visit. We are called to do many things. And this comes through the Word of God, through the Word of Christ, in the Gospels, through the Old Testament, and in the New Testament readings. What is our mission then? It is to learn anew the good news of Jesus Christ and to share it. It is to hear these words and to learn these words and to share these words and to live these words. That is the mission that we are given by Jesus Christ. I invite each of you, each week, before Sunday Mass, to read the readings in advance and reflect on them. And find out then, in doing so, what your mission is for this day or the next week or whatever. There are so many changing things that take place in our life. Today, we have many people in our parish that's in intensive care or in hospice, or things have gone really haywire for them, or someone's gotten hurt, or someone's gotten sick, or they're on crutches, or things constantly change in our lives. Maybe something with our children far off has gone wrong. Something's happened. There's all different kinds of things. As we reflect on these readings and then come to church and hear these readings, we will hear God speak to us in them. And he has something different, a different mission for each one of us, a different way of dealing with the life's problems that we may have or what is going on. And we hear these words and we form our mission for the next day or two or week or month or whatever, or a long period of our life. We learn, we live, and we share as we reflect on these, and we unite together as our Pope has asked us to do. We unite together in the political forum and debate and come up with the best solutions. What is best? And we, as Christians, bring Christ into these decisions also. What is best? Jesus also tells us with our mission, that is, if there is anything that keeps us from what we are to be doing, that we should pluck it out, that we should cut it off. If it's alcohol or drugs, maybe it's hoarding our treasures, maybe it's not sharing our time, at least some of it. You know, when my wife and I went on our trip, we had a mission. We wanted to visit those states. We did this. We wanted to experience a new adventure at Scotty Point. We certainly did this. And enjoyed God's creation. And we did this. We bypassed. We cut out some things. We didn't go through the big cities. We took the farmlands and the byways. We cut out or plucked out the idea of going to the malls and things like that. If we'd have done those other things, we wouldn't have been able to accomplish our mission. There is things that get in our way of what God wants us to do. And this is what we're asked today: to listen, to learn, to hear the gospel, and the readings, to live it, and to share it with each other. So what is your mission?